Yo, what's going on, guys? My name is Alex, and with the Miami Heat yet again losing out on another star player to add to their team, I think it's safe to say that they have probably lost this offseason compared to just every other team in the NBA. I want to first start off by talking about just the whole Damian Lillard situation, and there has been reporting on both sides, one with Chris Haynes talking about Damian Lillard and his side of things, and then I believe it was Shams or Woj that had the side of Joe Cronin, which is the GM for the Blazers, and kind of had his side of the story. And look, both of those articles were obviously very biased in terms of those guys who it was representing, so I don't really hold all that much weight to these articles. However, I have seen a lot of conversation talking about how Joe Cronin was playing dirty and he was being super petty and he just wasn't going to trade Damian Lillard to the Heat despite what the Heat were offering. And in my opinion, while all that may be true, I think we need to actually truly understand that it wasn't just Joe Cronin, but it was also Pat Riley. From all the reports, just overall, again, through this entire Dame saga, it seemed like Pat Riley was kind of iffy on giving certain players up, and when things just weren't going the way that I guess they wanted it to, Pat Riley just kind of stopped talking to them. The communication just abruptly stopped, and again, some blame can be put on Joe Cronin, but I also think that some blame needs to be put onto Pat Riley, and we could talk about that a little bit more soon enough. But despite what happened with these negotiations, the Heat still acted like this entire offseason that they got Damian Lillard, when that just wasn't the case, obviously, since now he's on the Bucks. You had Jimmy Butler in the offseason making a bunch of references to Damian Lillard on his IG story or just IG post, doing the Dame time celebration, all sorts of other things as well, just hinting that, hey, Dame is going to be coming to us. But most importantly, I feel this way because of the moves that the Heat made in the offseason. Even before Damian Lillard, the Heat were targeting guys like Kevin Durant. That didn't happen through trade. Donovan Mitchell, that also didn't happen. And even more recently than those two guys, we also had Bradley Beal. Those are three guys that the Heat were targeting, and they would have had to let Max Strus go and Gabe Vincent go, and that just didn't happen. And then we get to this offseason, and again, they have to let those guys go so that they can bring room in for Damian Lillard. And here we are, and Damian Lillard's not on the team, and it just didn't seem like the Miami Heat had any sort of backup plan. To go back towards kind of what was Pat Riley willing to give up for Damian Lillard, it seemed like the holdup was honestly, I think he was fine giving up Tyler Hero and, a plethora of picks. But I think also he was kind of shaky on giving up like Nikola Jovic or even Jaime Jaquez Jr. And in my opinion, that is probably one of the most stupidest things that a franchise can do, is getting held up on one specific player. Because we can sit here and talk about all the potential that Jovic has shown this offseason, whether it was in the FIBA World Cup or just in the preseason in general. Same thing with Jaime as well. We saw what he did in the preseason. Those guys looked pretty solid, and we could talk about what these guys are going to look like in the next 5 years. But we need to consider that Jimmy Butler is only getting older. Bam Adebayo, while he can be better, I just don't know how much better he's gonna get. I feel like the championship window is closing. So if you're the Heat, you have to make these moves to get star players so that you can maximize your championship window. And when you're not willing to do so because of Nikola Jovic promise and potential, it's just the stupidest thing ever, because now we're here, you don't have Damian Lillard, and not only do you not have Damian Lillard, Lillard is on your Eastern Conference rivals team, the Milwaukee Bucks. That just doesn't make any sense. You can even think of another example how, like, I don't know, the 76ers didn't want to give up Matisse Thybulle for James Harden. I mean, of course, they still got James Harden anyway, and they didn't have to give up Matisse Thybulle. But are we really going to sit here and say, no, we don't want James Harden because that potential of Matisse Thybulle, oh man, that's just so good. We want Matisse Thybulle. That is the stupidest thing ever. I don't care how good Nikola Jovic can be. I don't care how good Jaime Jaquez Jr. can be. Their potential is not going to put the Heat over the top into actually winning the championship and breaking through that hump of making it to the finals but ultimately losing to a better team. You need to trade for your star players. And now that Damian Lillard isn't here, the room of improvement for the Heat is just very, very small. The free agent market is not looking good whatsoever. Yes, I guess they could technically potentially get James Harden in a trade, since that really hasn't worked out yet for James Harden making it to the Clippers. That could potentially happen, but outside of that, I just don't know what other star is gonna be disgruntled throughout this season to maybe make their way over to the Heat. I just don't know. And when you just look at the general landscape, the Celtics also got Drew Holiday, which I guess Drew could have potentially made it to the Heat, but I doubt it because, again, he was on the Trailblazers, and I don't think Joe Cronin was going to give him Drew. But when you just look at the landscape of the East, the Bucks got better and the Celtics got better. And just in general, I think the Bucks and Celtics are by far and away the best teams in the Eastern Conference. Sure, you can bring up the 76ers, but again, we don't know what's going on with Harden. And the Heat, just comparing their roster this year compared to last year, they got worse. They lost Gabe Vincent and they lost Max Strus. Again, these are just role players, but when they were really depending on these guys and those guys came up clutch in a lot of situational moments in the playoffs, it's gonna hurt. Kyle Lowry is also going to be getting older as a point guard, so we'll have to see what he's going to be able to do. This roster is just getting older. Their championship window is, in my opinion, it's like this. Oh, it's this much open, I guess. Depending on what could happen in terms of the trade market later on in the season, that's why it's just cracked right now. It's almost close though. I guess the silver lining with it all is, hey, at least these guys like Jovic do get some pretty decent playing time, and they are going to show their potential, and they're going to be able to improve throughout the season. But again, I just don't think that potential is going to put them over the top. And for that reason, they really should have just gone all in. If we can look back to the Lakers situation before they had Anthony Davis and they had LeBron on the team, it was pretty obvious that the Lakers were probably going to get AD. However, the Lakers were acting as if like they already had AD in their hands. They still gave the Pelicans a great haul of players like Brandon Ingram and a bunch of future first-round picks. This is something that I think the Heat should have done. Yes, I guess you can be super high on Jovic, but at the end of the day, if you want to get Damian Lillard, you're gonna have to pay the price, and that was gonna be the price. Sure, maybe Joe Cronin was playing super petty, and maybe Pat Riley was offering this trade package with, you know, Jovic and everything else, Tyler Hero and the picks, and he just wasn't taking it. Maybe he just valued what he actually got a little bit higher, and you know what? That's totally fair. But I still think that the Heat acted as if they already had Damian Lillard before he even got there, and ultimately that affected just how effective they were in this offseason. But hey, those are my thoughts on the Heat losing this offseason. Let me know down below what y'all think. If you've enjoyed, make sure to like and sub. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subs by the end of the year, so it means a lot. Make sure to check out my socials down below in the description. You can also check out this video somewhere on the screen. Anyways, I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.